All right, today the verse I want to go over is John 15:5. Too animated? I don't know. I'm going to change my personality constantly, and because it just does. And you know why? That's all in this sermon. It's not a sermon. It's a verse breakdown. It's a thing. So listen, John 15:5 is one of my life verses too. It says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him will bear much fruit. I almost forgot. And it says, he who abides in me and I in him will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. That's basically the gist of it. So Jesus is saying this in the parable of the vine here. So like, what does he mean? Oof, that's a deep one. He always used parables about reaping, sowing. But think of this, okay? I'm going to touch on it just a little bit because I know YouTube, your attention span's like mine. I clearly have ADHD and all these things that America gives us. So if he's the vine, we're the branches, we need to stay connected to him. That's what he's saying. Stay connected to our source, and that's where we get life. Also, I think it implies it's organic, which means it's growing, and we're growing. That means we're not static. That means stasis is not a thing. And if we look at energy and matter, and how matter equals energy, and energy never stops vibrating, right? If we look at physics, and the spirit is always moving. The spirit is life, quickened, right? Life. Then we use this organic reference to say, we are not going to die. Stasis is not real. There is no such thing as death. Stasis. Non-existence. Like as believers, we know we have eternal life. That is the parable of the vine, John 15:5. If you understand one verse out of that Bible, John 15:5, think about that. I am the vine, you are the branches. And bearing much fruit, that fruit comes. And then just think of our fruit sometimes as it ripens, it can get overripe. And then it's like, fruit is that in and of itself. Fruit is so deep. You can use a bruised plum in a dish and it tastes different than a fresh plum that hasn't been bruised, than an underripe plum or a overripe plum or a ripe plum. Like just one fruit. And to bear much fruit. And what if you have a fruit cocktail tree and you have different fruits? Now, what I'm talking about here is adaptation, adaptogens, and adapting, because change is the only constant. Now, if we look at infinity, eternity, God is infinite, eternal, all these things. The only possible thing, if I'm moving, the only possible thing is eternity or stasis. God is the only thing that can be in that quantum state of both at once, and that would be the narrow path, right? To be alive and dead at the same time. And that's what Jesus is saying, right? So that is just the parable of the vine summed up from my brain to you. And I hope that checks all your boxes with organic versus inorganic versus life and death and quantum physics and understanding the superposition and all these things, black holes and white holes. You know, how can you have information going into one singularity and coming out of another one eternally at the same time and have balance? God, that's how.